Hello and welcome to Filmi Ladies. We're Pitu and Beth, and this is the penultimate episode of our color series. We have talked about all the colors of the rainbow, and now we are down to the metallics. Chandi or Sona. This is the Chandi episode. We're going to talk about silver. If Beth and I were Yash Chopra, which we're not, then we would be talking about the moon and moonlight and stars and starlight and Chandani and Sridevi in silver sequins and a silver sari. Or if we were Rajkumar Satoshi, we would be talking about lightning and thunder and silver streaks in the sky and justice and Damini. But we're neither of those people and we're neither of those directors. So Beth is, of course, going to be Beth, and she is going down the 70s masala route because, of course, and I am me. And so, of course, I'm going to go and talk about robots and also my absolute favorite, Aishwarya Rai. So, our movie choices for this episode are going to be Shaan, which is from 1980, and it is a Ramesh Sippy mega starer. And my movie is a 2010 Tamil movie, Enthiran, which is made by the director Shankar, and it stars Rajnikant and Aishwarya Rai. So, welcome to the Chandi episode. Beth, you being you, you have chosen 70s masala, but why Shaan specifically?
I approached this topic through the route of songs. Silver to me is a song element more than it is anything else. I'm not saying that's true, but I'm saying that's what stands out to me. And I was thinking about silver songs, and of course, Parveen Bobby wearing silver in what is, in essence, a disco ball turned inside out, a big domed room that is mirrored. And then the backing dancers also have silver sparkles on, and they're
Mhm.
stealing a necklace worn by Bindu, which is a silver medal with diamonds in it. Like, and diamonds do sort of creep into silver a little bit. But
Yeah.
anyway, I had no choice but to do this. But when I started rewatching, because I've seen this movie 3 or 4 times already, I'd say, I remembered that Shakal, villain
Uh-huh.
extraordinaire, has a lot of his embroidery on his black uniform is also silver, and some of his henchwomen wear silver boots.
Like Goga boots?
Not as tall as that, like
Okay.
slightly higher than an ankle boot, I would
Okay.
say, heeled silver boots. So a, a villain lair is, I love a villain lair, as we all know. And I was like, oh yeah, of course there's silver in here. It does also have a giant gold eagle in it, but that's for another topic. This is for,
Right.
so I'm very pleased with my choice.
You sound very villainous. Yeah, my for me, silver is basically disco and robots.
Yeah,
And we've done a disco dancer episode, but
we have.
like disco balls, dancers, sequins, crystals, all of those things come to mind. Like silver is just fun.
I mean, and we've done cars. We've
Yes.
had a whole Parveen Bobby episode. So, there some of the most obvious choices for silver have already been
Hmm.
taken. And I'm so glad you went the robot sci-fi route because I can't believe, as I've said before on the show, I can't believe you've never seen this movie, given your love of Ashwarya. But also, you are not a person who shies away from sci-fi. So I'm just
No.
kind of shocked I am shocked you've never seen this, and I'm so glad that you have.
It was like one of my few Ishwara, because when we were doing the Ishwara episode and I looked at her filmography, I was like, yes, seen it, seen it, seen it, seen it, seen it. There were like maybe three movies of hers that I hadn't seen. This was one of them. Then there was also Fanne Khan and I think Sarabjit. I think those are the three
Mm.
movies that kind of like stayed away from. And I was like, okay, it's time to watch Enderan. We got robots. I've seen the songs of Enderan. So I love all of those very like ostrichy numbers
Amazing
that she's
outfits, yeah.
worn. The best outfits were like ostrich feathers and like the craziest dances that they've made her do. And I was like, even if the movie is stupid, I'm still gonna get my fill of Aishwarya and crazy costumes. So you know what? It's gonna be worth the price of admission.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I'm very pleased with my choice as well. So what does silver exemplify to you? Because to me, silver is opulence.
I had a hard time with this, and I actually have a few notes that I jotted down for myself. This is just me thinking this is not resourced from anywhere, and I was particularly thinking about what does silver do that gold
Mm,
does not or cannot? And the number one thing that came out to me is nighttime.
yes.
Moonlight and twinkly stars, I think
Hmm.
generally speaking, get
Yes.
represented as silver.
Sparkle.
Van Gogh notwithstanding. uh,
Right.
you know, and obviously Moonlight, and that is so huge in Hindi cinema, particularly. So there's nighttime, but then I was also thinking about in my movie experience, if you want to go sort of tribal or folk, that is also silver. The jewelry is
Yes.
silver, right? And for people who do not know, I work in a museum. I'm always going to museums. That seems to be well borne out by artifacts that I have seen
Yes.
in museum collections, generally speaking, for South Asia. So there's like an earthiness to silver that I think gold tends not to have. I'm
Hmm.
not saying it never has, but on the other hand, I feel like silver does not go as rich as gold. Typically, like there's gold and then there's silver right below it, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that's universally true or true in every time period or anything like that, but um, I think if you're showing super rich people or super disgustingly overreachy nouveau riche, they
Mm.
are in gold. They are not in silver as
Yeah.
much.
Hmm. It's like, yeah, like when you think of gold, when I think of gold, I think of like Versailles. I
Hmm.
think about the absolute excess of like
Hmm.
the French at that time. I
Hmm.
also think of all the gold that you see in like Rajasthani palaces, for
Right.
instance. Gold is what has always been worn by the aristocracy. Like even like, really olden time paintings and stuff is gold, or even like gold leaf that's used in paintings.
Hmm.
Silver, I think, because it has a quality where it tarnishes, is
Yep.
always been like seen as like the lesser metal. And if you really
Mm.
want to flaunt your wealth, you're doing silver. Have you seen Crazy Rich Asians?
I have.
I love that
That's
movie.
a great
And I
movie.
love when you go to Aquafina's house and her family, like Ken Jeong is her dad, and they are like the definition of like nouveau riche and just like showing off. And it's all like gold, 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 gold. And her mom talks about how we were inspired by Versailles. And I was like, of course you are. Like, yeah, like you said, like, I don't think they would have like silver stuff everywhere.
Right.
So we think, like, to me, silver is definitely like opulent, but it's not like that in your face, let me show off how much money I have
Right.
opulent. But it's almost like a different kind of opulent where it's like I associate silver with weirdly futuristic stuff like sci-fi, like robots and stuff, androids and things like that. But I also associate it with the retro, like 70s, like
Uh-huh.
disco ball, discotheques, and like
Hmm.
Saturday Night Fever is such a silver movie. Travolta is just, every frame of that film there is some amount of silver in it. So it's weirdly, for me, I never think of silver as like the here and now. It's always I'm going back in time to the
Ah,
70s, or I'm going towards
to the
whatever is like seen as
future.
futuristic. Yeah, it's either or. Or it's like if you watch movies like Independence Day or whatever,
Mm.
spaceships are always silver, like Star Trek,
Hmm.
all of that. It's always
Because
like these silver
metal
tones.
metal that you build out of is silver toned
Yes,
or gray toned. It's not golden.
exactly. Like
Stone
it's
may
steel,
be sort of golden. Yeah.
chromium, right?
Yeah.
Or like crystals in it. I
Yeah.
think they only like if you watch like Hindi historical movies, the only movie I can think of where there is like a fair bit of silver, I would say, is actually Mughal Azam. Like, in that song Pyar Kiya
Mhm.
To Darna Kya, the shot of the mirrors,
Oh
it's
yeah.
all that mirror work in crystals. So there's a
Mm.
lot of like silver in that. And also in the outfit that Madhubala has worn, there's a lot of silver as
Yeah.
opposed to like in your face gold.
Yeah.
um but yeah, I do associate silver with like tribal folks, like you were saying, and like that there's that oxidized silver look.
Oh,
And
gorgeous.
in Mumbai especially, it is like that subset of the culture vulture, the person who goes to watch all the plays at National Center of Performing Arts. The uniform is you have to wear like a handloom sari, you have to have a really big bindi, and you wear silver.
Mm.
You go to Fab India, or you go to like Cotton Cottage, or like, one of those places, or like heritage places, and you buy like the silver chunky stuff and you wear
Hmm.
like these many silver bangles. That is the uniform. You're not allowed to do anything else. Okay, so for those people who have been living under a rock, not I, tell them the story of Shaan, and why have you seen this movie 4 times?
I've seen this movie 4 times because, first of all, one of its co-stars is Shashi Kapoor with Amitabh Bachchan as the main star. So, what's not to love? It
A
has Parveen
bromance for the
Bobby.
80s.
It has Rocky. It has Shahrukh Sinha, who's not one of my top favorites, but when I look back, I'm like, he usually signifies a good time for me.
Yes.
The songs are phenomenal in this movie, and not just the sort of disco song for which I chose the film. So Sean is very heavily James Bond
Mm.
influenced because we have a villain named Shakal who is played by BDE, King of Pitu's Heart, Kulbushan Kharbanda doing his
Yes,
very finest masala turn ever. He plays Blofeld. He's bald. He sits like this all the time with his hand on his head and kind of
because
like
he's
drumming
plotting.
his fingers. He has an underwater lair with a main meeting room with a circular table that he can spin. And he has the trap doors where people can fall down and get eaten by
Wonderful.
sharks or threatened by crocodiles.
Sounds so
Um,
wholesome, Beth.
it's totally wholesome. He wears a black kind of military Mussolini-esque uniform
Um,
with silver embroidery with an S with a sword going through it. We have a friend from Blog Days who said that he and his sister used to run around terrifying each other by yelling "shakal" at each other as kids, which I think is pretty great. And it took me a second to remember that story popped into my head as I was rewatching. I'm like, oh yeah, Shakal is probably not quite as menacing as Mogambo, but I would suspect he's up there.
yeah.
He's got a style and he goes
Hmm.
for it. He has amazing henchmen. It's like all the guys from that era that you would think. Although curiously, Ranjit is not in this movie. I don't know where he was at this time,
Right.
but you have so anyway. So the plot is Shashi and Amitabh are brothers who are small time crooks, hoping to be, I think, bigger time crooks. They sort of get double crossed by Bindya Goswami and Johnny Walker, which is an interesting combo. Bindya
Yeah.
Goswami, I'm someone like I don't know anything about her other than this one movie, and then I had not remembered or ever known. Perhaps she was married to J.P. Dutta, so I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Um, so then and their brother is, I've forgotten to mention, Sunil Dutt, who is, of course, an upstanding police officer
Of course.
who foils Shakal's smuggling plans. He is lured to a trap. Shakal offers him the chance to save himself or by working for Shakal, or he can keep his virtues. And he says, well, what good are my virtues to me or my values to me if I'm dead? Haha, double cross. He tries to escape. Doesn't work. Very Bondian long sequence on the island
Yes.
and dogs and a helicopter and all sorts of stuff. And if a helicopter appears once in a Hindi film of this era, it's going to appear at least one more time. And it does appear
You
again.
have to get your money's worth, Beth.
Absolutely. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Um, Meanwhile, Shatrughan Sinha has also been hired by Shakal to go after Sunil Dutt. That happened earlier. Various things happen. We find out he's actually a good guy who's been blackmailed, and so then the three remaining men join forces to try to avenge everything. Rocky is Sunil Dutt's widow. Sorry for the spoiler alert there, but you've seen a movie before, you knew what was going to
Yeah.
happen. This movie is really fun. Shakal's lair does not take up as much runtime as I remember, so that's the strongest memory. Oh, and Parveen Bobby, in addition to being like a disco nightclub singer, is also a jewel thief.
I love that. What
And
an interesting resume.
I know, I know. Everyone in this film is so talented. The characters are so talented.
They're very multidimensional.
Why do Shashi and Amitabh have all the skills that they have? No idea. It's not like, oh, they too were secretly police officers. No, I
They're just gifted.
don't worry
They were
about it.
gifted children who grew up to be
That's
gifted
right.
adults.
That's right. Don't worry about it. Um, this is this is a really interesting version of the Shashi Amitabh pairing, of which I am very fond. Um, the ease that these two have playing off of each other is chef's kiss. It's so, and in some ways, this might be the peak pairing for just like how comfortable they seem together.
Mm.
As is often the case, Shashi's role is a little bit lesser. So for me, as a mega Shashi fan, this is not my favorite of their outings together. But just watching these two absolute pros, who, as far as I've ever heard, did really like working together, watching them on screen together is a real treat. So if you are a 70s Masala fan and you have not seen this or you have not seen it in a while, please watch it. It's so fun. It's so fun. And the songs.
Yes.
So the major Inside Out Disco Ball song is everyone has converged because they're going to try to steal a necklace from Bindu, who is a princess, at this like disco nightclub thing, and people are marching around with like they have little sparklers, like little pom poms with silver fronds in their hands. So it's got kind of a drum
Nice.
majorette feel to it, but then also the
Right.
disco. It's just it's just everything. And then we also have, of course, Yama Yama in the villain lair with people leaping over a fire pit and things like that. And then we have Janu Mary John on a Bombay
Hmm.
double decker bus, which is
Yeah.
another. the opening bars of that, I had forgotten where in the film that came, and the opening bit of it came on, and I'm dancing like around my
Right.
living room. It's so good. And you also have a really good song pictured on someone who, as far as I understand it, is a bad person, Mazhar Khan, who is, of course, married to Zinat Aman. He is playing a person with physical disabilities who navigates Bombay on a little scooter, like a little wooden thing that he pushes with his hands, and he has a great song introducing himself called Nam Abdul Hai Mera, and that's also a
Mm-hmm.
really good one. But yeah, I mean, for me, Yama Yama, Pyar Karne Wale, and then Janu Mary John are like the three. And I know that these three songs are in this film, but then to encounter them as the film goes on is still just such a treasure. This is Artie Berman firing on
Yes.
absolutely all cylinders, as he often does. But
Yeah.
this is one of the big ones for me. I had not remembered that this is a film that was being recorded when Mohammed Rafi died. So Yama Yama, apparently the track that appears in the film was a practice track because that's all they had before Rafi died.
Oh, wow.
So and then Barman steps in to sing the other part. He sings for Amitabh in that song in a very distinctive style. So
Wow.
this movie is lots of fun. It's very goofy. It's lots of fun.
I really like the title song of this movie, actually. And like Shaan basically means like grandeur.
Yeah.
And so I like this idea of like, प्यार करने वाले like जीते हैं शान से मरते हैं शान से, like whatever we do sort of with like grandeur, and we
Hmm.
do it with like a certain amount of like panache. And it is a very stylish movie.
It is a
I
very
mean, if you're
stylish
going to make
movie.
these kind of claims, you have to back it up with like style.
So we meet Shashi and Amitabh as they are well, not quite. Wait, is that the first? One of the early scenes with them is they are admiring a Porsche that pulls up and Bindiya Goswami gets out, and they don't realize. So Amitabh is talking about the car, and Shashi is talking about her, and they're exchanging like how beautiful and what curves and how does it handle and all that, which is kind of gross in a way, but is also
Yeah,
really funny. Watching them because they're looking at opposite things, and they finally
right.
realize like what, who? It's very funny.
Right.
So there's a Porsche in this movie. There's, all the helicopter. There's an island. There's a foam crocodile or two. There's the underwater footage, which might be borrowed from a nature special, but I don't know. They
Right.
they make it work. There's a carnival with a Ferris wheel.
I
Um,
love those.
yeah, so there's a lot of fun stuff happening in this film. It is a stylishly made film.
So two questions for you. Actually, three questions for you. So first question is, I know this is a Ramesh Sippy film, and I have seen Shaan only the one time, I think,
Mhm.
when I was little, but it almost sounds like a Feroz Khan venture.
Yeah, I can see
Like it
that.
sounds more Feroz Khan than Ramesh Sippy. Would you mistake it for a Feroz Khan venture, or is it not like
Ooh.
Western enough?
Yeah, I was about to say I don't think it's quite macho enough, but I think it
Okay.
could be. It's a Salim Javed script, so I
Mm,
think the potential to macho it up is always present. Well, off the top of my head, I'm going to say it's always possible to macho up their films more than they tend to be because
yeah.
there is vengeance, there is men taking action based on an ethical principle. That's not
Hmm.
unique to their scripts, obviously.
Right.
But I don't think their scripts tend to be presented in a super macho way, but I think you
Hmm.
could with this movie. I think if this was Feroz Khan, he would have to be the sharpshooter that
Oh yeah.
Shatrughan Sinha plays, and that would get a bigger. He's very much the secondary lead. Um,
Hmm.
so I think you'd have to like flip the perspectives and have him be the main guy, but you could do that because he has a
Yeah.
whole backstory that we get in a flashback. So you could do that, and he's a bit of a kind of a lone wolf character
Yeah.
when we meet him. So I can see Furrows doing that.
I also feel like Feroz's movies tend to be a little bit more like quote unquote racy,
Yeah.
where Ramesipis tend to be a little bit more like they're not like PG-13, and they're not like vanilla in a Rajashri kind of
No,
way, but
no,
they're also not quite as racy as
no.
Feroz's
I think
movies
you could take
are.
a kid to this movie
Yeah.
relatively, even though they might be afraid
Okay.
of Shakal or,
Yeah.
if the kid has seen enough movies in general to know that lots of bad guys will get bumped off and you never see them again, but also doesn't matter within the
Hmm.
emotionally does not matter in the story if your kid can handle that. I'm not saying your kid should handle that, but if they do, this would be a fine movie, I think, to
Gotcha.
watch. But yeah, this
Okay.
this could be a Feroz Khan joint. That'd be fun.
Nice. Okay, second question I have. Whenever I've seen like an Amitabh Shashi bromance, it's like, yes, they have like an easy camaraderie with each other and a great rapport and all of that stuff. But there's always like this edge that Amitabh has, and there's always like this goody chip that Shashi
Mm,
has, where Shashi is always going to be the voice of reason, and
mhm.
often that is because Shashi is on the right side of the law and Amitabh isn't, or Shashi is just kind of like the more do-gooder person than
Yeah.
Amitabh is, like for example in Silsila. In this one, given that they're both crooks, is there a little bit of that slight like moral high horse that Shashi is on, or they're
No,
not?
I don't
Okay.
think so. But most of the action sequences go to Amitabh, obviously, and they're separated for some of the film. They're pursuing different routes of investigation or whatever.
Okay.
So Amitabh does those on his own. So their bromance is not as much at the fore as it is in some
Mm.
other films. In fact, Amitabh has this whole the actual scene where you meet he's pretending to be a jewel thief and embroiling someone else in a hotel, and he's playing this very ridiculous character who's always biting his collar like this,
Okay.
and wearing big sunglasses and stuff. So it's more the Amitabh show for sure than the Shashi Amitabh show. But yeah,
Okay.
so that balance that is not there in this one. That I
Okay.
did now, maybe there's a translation issue going on, but I didn't see anything.
Okay. And then my third question was, do you feel like Parveen had a well-written role, or was she just a little bit of a caricature where she's like a jewel thief and she's mostly there for like eye candy?
um Sort of somewhere in between. I'm not going to say
Okay.
it's a great written role, but we've certainly seen worse.
Yeah.
And I think Bindia Goswami is trying, and I don't think she's bad, but Parveen is such a star that
Yeah.
she pulls focus a little bit more, I would say, than, and not in a bad way, but like she makes more of an impression, but I think it's just because of who she is.
Yeah.
Um, and she's paired with Amitabh, so there's that like their love story gets more time.
Mm.
And then Shashi and Bindu Goswami, you're like that doesn't track. Like that's just
Yeah.
they're just the other two people,
Yeah.
so like it doesn't.
Shashi and Rocky would track, but then
I
Rocky's paired off with
know.
Sunil Dutt, which doesn't make much sense to me.
No, that's not as
Hmm.
good. So yeah.
Okay. Nice. Those were my only questions.
Yeah,
Um,
this is a super fun film, and here we have silver used for, as you were saying, like an opulence, disco opulence.
right.
Modern, modern at the time it was made, opulence. There's nothing traditional about the aesthetics of this, right? It's
Right.
very
No.
of its moment.
It's very like 70s, even though
Hmm.
it's a 1980 film, but
Hmm.
nice. Okay, so my movie is Enthiran.
I'm so
Um,
excited to hear what you have to say about this film. I've seen it so many
okay.
times. I make other people watch it. Like,
So I enjoyed it,
okay,
but I have to get the elephant. I have to point to the elephant. What
please.
age is one Mr. Rajnikant supposed to be in this movie?
40 at the most. I would say like the smoothing is hilarious, or the whatever they're doing to his face at all times.
I could
And the
not for
wiggery.
the oh good lord, the wiggery, the makeup,
Hmm.
the CGI or whatever they were
Hmm.
doing, the VFX, whatever it was, girl, I could not compute. Also, the first time we see like scientist Professor Vasigaran, that's his name. Like when we see Professor Vasigaran's parents, my jaw dropped open. I was like, they opened the door and he's like, Amma, Appa. I'm like, what? Those are not your parents. They look like your peers. The woman looks like she's younger than you. What the heck is happening? I was like, surely he's adopted or something. Or surely he calls them his parents, but he's like the younger brother of the guy. And like his dad died when he was like in school or something. No,
Right.
they're his
Yeah.
actual parents.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then we have him romancing Sana, who is a Shredder Rai. He's like 172 missed calls from Sana. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, it's clearly the double role Rajnikant who's going to be paired up with Sana. Surely this Rajnikant is not paired up with Aishwarya Rai. No, he is paired up with Aishwarya Rai. And it's hysterical to me every scene where
Yeah.
Aishwarya Rai is like, oh, you're awesome. I swear to God, if I had a penny for every time she says, you're awesome. And she's just like gushing over him. And I'm just like, you're paired up with this dude? Why? Why? And my husband was watching the movie with me, and he also very much is an Aishwarya Rai fan. And he just made the face and he was like, she's paired up with this dude? Really? Okay. I mean,
Girl,
I
earn your money. This movie made a lot of money, as I
yes,
recall,
no,
right?
and I'm more than
And
happy to get 3 hours of Aishwarya
oh
Rai. Do
yeah,
not get me wrong. I'm happy to see her on screen, but the pairing was
I
just
know.
so weird, and he's so weirdly wooden, and I was just like, okay. So I had to get the age thing out of the way. It took me some time to wrap that around my head because I was okay with the idea of him being Professor Vasigran,
Sure.
Professor of Robotics, making an android, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But it would have made so much more sense if he was portrayed as a person who is like perhaps nearing retirement. And scientists don't necessarily
Yeah.
retire the way that like regular people do, or whatever, and like especially if you're an inventor and stuff. But no, the fact that they were trying to pass him off as someone so much younger
I
was always
know.
like completely throwing me off. um
In
so
the
yeah.
in the sequel, if I recall, Amy Jackson is
Oh god.
the yeah, and you're like, oh please. And if I recall, they don't put them together romantically, but she's like the new assistant or something like that. And I just
Of
kept
course
thinking
she
like, oh
is.
no, no, oh no, oh no. But if I remember, she's basically just an android or something. That movie's not good at all. But this first one is
Oh,
amazing.
yeah, no, so that was like the only thing that like I just couldn't get it. And I actually really enjoyed it. It was fun.
Hmm.
And at first, like when I was okay, so for people who haven't seen Enthiran, who don't know the story, it's a Tamil movie. I watched it with subtitles on, obviously. And the concept is basically there's a robotic scientist called Vasigaran, which is played by Rajnikant. And he is from the get-go, like from the credits, we see him designing this robot, which is very humanoid and can do all of the things that humans can do. So I was definitely like thinking about all the conversations we've been having about AI and stuff like that. And there's a rival scientist played by Danny Denzongpa. I was so happy to see him. He was
Isn't
awesome.
isn't he like, oh yeah, I understand this assignment.
I love it. He's
And
like, he's
I
a scientist and he's like smart and intellectual and all of that, but he's also like selfish and cruel and
mhm.
he wants to take it on. And he has this like evil robot that like strangles and I was like, oh.
I love, spoiler alert, and we already spoiled Shaan, so whatever. I love that Danny, he's going to be evil because he's Danny, and this is a Rajni movie, so like,
Yeah,
but you find out in a satisfying way he's not the most evil.
right.
And I really enjoyed that this guy who, is trying to like sell science for bad purposes and all this kind of stuff. And you're like, ooh, he got his, but ooh, I'm not glad about that, but ooh.
Right, exactly. No, he was great. I always enjoy watching Danny, and Danny's just one of those people that plays wicked really well, which is a quality I appreciate in him as well as in our beloved Bindu.
Mhm.
And so yes, so Danny's like the rival scientist, and then Basigaran has a girlfriend called Sana, who is played by the one and only Ishwar Rai, who is a medical student about whom I have many things to say, not all of them positive. And he develops this robot, which of course has Rajnikant's face because of course it does. How could it not? And he trains him to do all of these amazing things, and then the first half is just kind of like getting into this stuff, and then from the intermission onwards very terrible things start happening. And the movie takes a very dark turn very quickly, which I don't think I was prepared for because until then it was just like straight up corny masala. And I was kind of surprised with all of the like moral issues that were coming up and like the bad things that the robots are doing. And then there is some very like Matrix stuff that's happening, some of which feels a little like taken from the Matrix movies, and some of it seems like inspired by other ideas. But it's all done very well, and it's all done in a very like fun way. I would say like it's definitely campy, this movie, but it's very enjoyable. And at the end, the good and the bad have to be, you know, they have to go to heads, and we have to see who's going to win at the end. And the robot is called Chitti, and I just thought he was the most awesome thing ever. He was adorable and darling. And there's a point in this movie where, like, at first, like Aishwarya Rai, we also find Chitti so adorable and darling and sweet. And he's so, like, he takes everything so literally. And there are a lot of funny scenes where he's, like, driving the car, he's parking the car, he's doing all sorts of stupid shit. Because he's a robot, he doesn't have the cognitive thinking or whatever. But he falls in love with Aishwarya Rai and he starts having feelings for her. And that's when he starts to kind of like turn on his maker. And then this idea of like the machine turning against its maker, I was very much enjoying that. It was giving me slight like Frankenstein vibes as well. It was giving me, what is that movie, I, Robot? It was giving me some of those vibes as well. it was very cool. And I think given that it's 2025 or 2026 and everyone is talking about AI taking over and stuff like that, it was interesting to see these sort of issues being brought up of like machines and what place they have in the world. And it was also very interesting to see that whether it is a human man or a robotic man, men don't seem to understand the concept of consent. And men don't seem to understand that just because they are in love with a woman like Aishwarya Rai, she's allowed to not be attracted to you. Apparently, robots don't get the memo either. So that was interesting. And I just thought it was like very cool. When it took a dark turn is when it really captivated me and I really enjoyed it. And I did like Rajnikant's acting as
Hmm.
me very much. I
Hmm.
didn't so much care about Vasigaran. Like he's fine. It's just like
He's
a normal.
he's not why the movie is. He's not
He's
what the
not what
movie's
you're
about,
watching.
really,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Chitti is fun. But
Yeah.
Chitti is fun until Chitti takes a very dark turn and you're like, oh, good Lord, what is happening to Chitti? And then when Chitti tries to like get into Danny's camp and everything, it was just kind of cool. Like the machinations that were happening were very enjoyable. And I think the end was also extremely satisfying and also very dark. The movie ends with 2030 and
Yeah.
it's the year 2030 and there's this some sort of like museum of robotics or whatever and there's like a field trip taken by these students and they go and they see like this disembodied robot like the body the head and everything is separate and it's all wired up together and then the robot head clearly says something to the little girl and she's like huh and it was just kind of cool. I really enjoyed that as well and
Mhm.
the scene where Chitti basically dismantles himself I kind of felt really sad
I know. It's complicated.
like when he takes the head aside and I was like
Yeah.
okay I know you did some bad things but like I forgive you please don't do this like you have to dismantle yourself but like he has to because the court of law
Hmm.
has decided he should and he's going to follow the letter of the law
Hmm.
so it's a very fun movie. It's a very interesting movie. When I discovered this movie was made by Shankar, I was like, this makes sense
Yeah.
because I do enjoy Jeans very much, which
Mm.
is also an Aishwarya Rai movie made by him. So I did have a lot of fun, and the songs are fabulous.
They really are.
I have no idea why these songs are shot in Machu Picchu in Peru and why they're shot in these deserts, but I'm not
Don't worry
complaining.
about it.
Yeah. And I really want to give props to the costume designer because
Oh,
they had so much fun
yes, they
designing
did.
for Aishwarya Rai.
Yes, they did.
I don't think I've ever seen Aishwarya Rai in the kind of costume she's pulled off in this movie. Maybe Tal has some really kind of
Mm.
kooky
Hmm.
costumes that she wears when she's performing, but she's dressed up like an ostrich. She's dressed up like a cabaret dancer. She's wearing all sorts of strange things and she pulls it off because she's
Yeah.
Aishwarya Rai. And even her dances are like, they make no sense. Like there is this song called Anima, and she's jumping like what looks like a
Yeah.
gazelle.
Yeah. That's
And the
right.
lyrics talk about how like lions and gazelles, and
Uh-huh.
I'm sure there was a lot lost in translation, but I was like, that is very interesting. You have a dancer like Aishwarya Rai at your disposal. You're just making her like prance across the screen. But you know what? I'm here for it. I love it.
What's the song where she has kind of the robot costume on?
Oh, it's so fabulous.
Yeah.
And they do this almost like kaleidoscope thing where they were like,
Yeah.
like it keeps populating. And at one point, my screen, because I was streaming it to my screen, projecting it to my TV, and I had like 20 Aishwarya Rais on my screen, and they're all making like different moves. And I was like, I love this. I'm
Yeah.
here for it. I was like, how do
It's
I make this my wallpaper for my phone?
it is such a creative movie, I
It's
think.
so creative.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely like a mishmash of things, but I think they've taken all the different elements that they could and
Hmm.
made it well. And considering it's a Tamil movie and considering it's from 2010, I think they kept the moralizing to a bare minimum. Like there tends to be a lot of moralizing in Tamil masala, but they kept it to the minimum. I think that they could.
There's a scene in this movie that really, really bothers me. And
I
every
think I
time
know
I
which one it
rewatch,
is.
it's the little girl.
Yes,
So for those who haven't seen it, there's a
it's
building that's on
terrible.
fire, and the Rajni bot, Chiti, has this like life sensing ability or whatever. So he goes and he finds that there's still a little girl who was in a bathtub when the building
Hmm.
caught fire, and he brings her out, and she is not wearing clothes because she was in the bath. And the professor berates him for how dare you expose this child's, modesty in this way? How dare you violate her modesty? and I think it's meant to highlight how little of the human world makes
Right.
sense to the robot. And the little girl is so upset that this has happened that she runs into the road in path of a bus.
Yeah, and she gets hit by the bus, and I was like, "What the hell did I
And
just
so it's
watch?"
better to be dead than to
Yes,
be alive but naked, even though you are a child and you were rescued from a bath situation. Nothing titillating, nothing sexual, nothing even predatory. Um, and I don't, every time I've seen this, I'm not sure what I think the movie is saying here.
right.
Because is it to highlight this value that society has and the robot is right? Or what do you, how did that strike you? Because that scene is such a clunker to me, and I feel like they
Yeah.
could have done something else to show the robot not understanding quote unquote human values or something.
I mean, I don't know what the filmmaker is trying to say either. And I was also very confused by it. I know
Mhm.
I was completely Team Chitti, and I thought it was kind of
I know.
insane that instead of like celebrating him for the fact that he saved this person's life, everybody is basically berating him, and so is the person whom he saved. Like literally everyone is berating him, and the professor is berating him also. So I was also Team Chitti, and that Chitti is confused. He's like, why are people mad at me? Like, what did I do? And I was also like Team Chitti in that scene. But I think the filmmaker wants, I know the filmmaker wants us to know that robots do not understand the subtleties of human like society or whatever. Like he just doesn't get it. Like he takes everything literally, right? And he thinks he's done the right thing, and I'm like, but he did do the right thing. So I'm very confused by it also. That scene was definitely very questionable,
Hmm.
and it was really poorly done, I thought. And
Hmm.
but also the fact that she gets killed by the car, I thought was like insane. And I just feel like that scene was so unnecessary. Like, for example, I mean, this is just me thinking aloud, but for example, like maybe it could be like, okay, he brings the child and everyone's horrified, and then maybe the professor quickly grabs like a jacket from someone and puts it over the kid, and it's like, you did a good job, Chitti, but like also you need to understand these concepts, and then that's it. Like if you want to moralize and you want to tell the robot, you should understand that's a quick and neat way
Hmm.
to do that. You didn't have to kill the kid.
No, he
It
didn't.
was just, I think it's meant to highlight that the robot's lack of understanding of human subtleties or human culture or whatever can result in the death of a person. But also I was like, yeah, but he saved her. So it's just a
Yeah.
very stupid scene, a
Hmm.
very unnecessary scene. And I'm not sure what the filmmaker is trying to say, but it's just very, very questionable.
I have never looked this up. I have wondered if this is a reference to a real life event in some way that a child was rescued from a situation and then was shamed about or something. Not that a robot ran into a building and saved
Hmm.
a child, although
Right.
it seems like we're maybe on the path to that. And that was an actual one thing I like about that scene is that's a really great example of things that robots maybe could do that humans
Yeah.
can't do because it was too dangerous for a human firefighter to go in there. So
Hmm.
you know, if the machines can help in that way, that would be great, probably. And
Well, it's,
we'll just have to chill the F out about if someone's naked when they're rescued from a fire.
I know. Well, I saw a meme or something the other day that made me laugh because I was like, "Yep." So they were like, "Why is it that they're getting AI to do like writing and poetry and things like that, and humans have to do the menial jobs when we were promised that the machines would make our
Right,
life easier? Like,
right.
why aren't the machines scrubbing toilets?"
I was just thinking that I'm like, where's my toilet Roomba?
Yeah, like I would like machines to do that. And
Hmm.
instead, you can't even Google anything nowadays because 90% of the internet is like AI at this point, and they're just like stuffing AI generated content down our throats, and it's
Right,
ew and
right.
gross. So yeah, I mean, the idea of robots being used, like for example, clearing landmines
Mm,
or making zones safe for people, or like you
hmm.
said, like saving people in a fire where it's so dangerous that even like a human firefighter can't go. Like those are amazing things for
Hmm.
robots to do, but apparently society wants robots to do the things that humans should be doing,
I
and humans
know.
should just be stuck in a cycle of poverty. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
um but there's another thing about this movie that really annoyed me. Like I
Ooh,
liked the character of Ishwarya Rai. For I like the fact that she was a medical student,
yeah.
and she's a very poorly written character, I have to say. Like that is a cardboard character.
Do I remember right
But
that she cheats on an exam?
yes, Yes,
If
it
there's one
was
field
so.
you don't want cheating in, it's medicine.
Yes, it was so bothersome to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, I had all these emotions, right? Because I was like, yay, Sharon Rai. And then it was like, oh, she's a medical doctor. I love that for her. Like, she's a medical student. I love that for her. She's not like some stupid person who just like dresses up every day and like spends time just being pretty or whatever. Like, she has goals in life. She's in school. She wants to be a doctor. I love that. And then her greatest use of Chitti is that she hasn't studied. And so, can Chitti help her? And so, she's sitting in the exam hall like this, and he's feeding her answers through like a thing. And she's writing those answers down. And we're supposed to think that that's okay. And I was like, girl, I liked you until now. If you were my friend, I would be cussing you the hell out right now.
Yeah.
And then she goes and thanks him and kisses him and says, thank you. And I was like, what? This is ridiculous. I mean,
She
first of
also
all,
she also doesn't seem to understand that that's a robot and you don't need to kiss it.
she's also very confused. Like, clearly, she's confused. Chitti's confused. Everyone in this movie is confused. Okay, Beth. But I was just like, so now we're going to use robots to help us cheat in exams, and like your
Well,
heroine is a cheater. It was so gross. It reminded me of when we were doing our Sarat episode, and you were like, the scene where the kid slaps the professor bothered me more than anything else. And I was like, yeah, the scene in Enthiran with medical student is cheating on her exams with the help of a robot actually bothered me the most about this movie.
mhm.
Like, I was willing to put aside the romance between Rajinikanth and Aishwarya Rai, never mind the stupid age gap. I was willing to put that aside, but I'm not going to be okay with this. Also, towards the end, she is a person that is helping in the hospital when one of the ladies in that home is like pregnant. And I was like, oh, but how would you know anything, Aishwarya Rai? You cheated on your exam. You don't
Yeah.
study because you're too busy giving 172 missed calls to Vasigaran or whatever.
Remember giving missed calls?
I know. I mean, my
I
phone
love
has been
it.
on silent since forever, so there's no missed calls with me. No, but it's like weird. Like, this movie is fun, and there's a lot of things about it I like. But I was like, are we just like these annoying front bencher? Because I was a front bencher. Are we
Same.
just these like annoying front bencher people that get upset when we see things like academic cheating?
Yes, and I think that this movie, one of the reasons that I still recommend this movie to
Yeah.
people, because a lot of my friends who are interested in sort of bombastic cinema have
Yes.
seen the big fight on the roadway where all the Rajnees become like the
It's so fun.
yeah, like
The
that
orb.
and that got clipped and sent around at the time and whatever. They've seen that. They're like, "Oh, I would watch that whole movie." I'm like, "Here you go."
Yeah.
Um, is this movie is trying a lot of things. And
Yeah.
it does not land all of them perfectly for me, but I do feel that it coheres. It's really fun, as we were saying. It's very creative visually, but also kind of philosophically, I think,
Yeah.
um, which is something that we don't get enough of. And there's a lot to chew on here,
Yeah.
and I appreciate big swing and a big hit to me. It's really it's a work. This is an
Yeah.
opera, of
Yeah.
of a film.
I mean, yeah, I think that is something I enjoyed about it. It definitely passed my cell phone test
Oh
because
yeah,
I never knew what was going to come, right?
exactly.
There's a lot of tonal changes in this
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
that worked for me mostly, and didn't work for me sometimes, but it's like one moment the movie is philosophical and talking about like important things, and then 2 seconds later it's just literal slapstick comedy where Chitti is doing something because he's a machine and he doesn't understand nuance.
Yeah.
And then 2 seconds later we're transported to Machu Picchu, and I'm like transfixed by also all of those like backup dancers. I don't know if they're Peruvian or what, but they are hella good looking, and their costumes were amazing. And I was like, why can't we wear this in real life?
Right.
I love that song, is amazing. And so there's a lot of tonal shifts in this movie. There's a lot going on. Added to it is the fact that like I don't speak or understand Tamil, so for me it's a translation issue as well. I also absolutely do not belong to the Rajinikanth camp at all. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I'm
Yeah.
like, cool, I'm happy for y'all who are Rajini fans. I don't understand his charm at all. But like, I mean, I enjoy him as Chitti. He's not bad, but I'm sure that Rajnikant fans get so much more out of this movie than I will.
I
And
saw
that's
this in
fine.
the theater, and there were people
Did you?
going wild even in like central Illinois, right? So it was really
Yeah.
fun. And like I feel like was this, is it maybe the one of the early songs where like he's just kind of playing guitar or something and not really
Mm.
doing much, and even there people were just going bananas. It
Yeah.
was really fun. Yeah.
I do think that this one, like, I think for fans of Rajnikant, it's just going to be so much more amped up, which is not
Yeah.
something I will ever get. And that's
Yeah.
fine. I don't expect non Shah Rukh Khan fans to get
Right.
the things from a Shah Rukh Khan movie that, like, I'm going into a Shah Rukh Khan movie for Shah Rukh Khan, so
Sure.
I get it. But yeah, there was a lot going on in this movie, and we frequently complain about films where they just weren't trying hard enough, they just weren't doing anything. That is not a complaint I would make about this film. I think it's a lot of fun. I would have liked Ashwara to have more of like a character,
Yeah.
but I also think that the chances of the heroine having much to do when it's a Rajnikant double role film. I
Yeah.
mean, the chance of that is very, very low. Even if it's Aishwarya Rai, she's going to be a caricature, and I'm okay with that. I mean, you give me Aishwarya Rai in ostrich feather costumes and robotic things, prancing around like a gazelle, I'm happy. Um, it's okay. I will take that. So it was fine for that reason. But like, yeah, I enjoyed it.
Hmm.
Would I be running out and watching Enthiran 2? Absolutely not. But I
Dad,
did
don't do it.
enjoy. My other two silver films that I was thinking of watching actually were Action Replay. Have you seen that?
I have. I saw it in the theater and I haven't rewatched it. And you when I was trying to decide what to watch, you did suggest that one, and I was like, we've had a little bit of a Akshay
Akshay
Kumar
Kumar.
year here at Filming Ladies. We've covered a few films this year, um, including Ye Dilagi, obviously, which was
Yes.
fun to revisit. But I I remember not really digging them as a pair.
They're a strange pair.
And I can't really remember why, but yeah, there was nothing about that made me go, oh, I'd love to see that again.
Yeah. I've only seen Action Replay once.
Hmm.
And I remember enjoying the songs very
Uh-huh.
much. And I enjoyed like the retro costumes a lot,
Sure.
especially Aishwarya's like very like 70s inspired polyester and Georgette saris with like the
Hmm.
loud prints on it, like the
Hmm.
polka dots and stuff. And so I did consider, my whole thing was, if I'm gonna do a silver episode, I'm gonna do an Aishwarya Rai movie. I don't care if it's Enderon or Action Replay. As long as I get to
Right.
watch Ishwara, I'm good.
Right.
So I did consider that one for silver as well. And then I thought about another movie which I've never seen but is on my watch list. And I just have never seen it because I don't like Priyanka Chopra. Have you seen Love Story 2050 or whatever it's called?
Oh, girl, I sure have.
Because
And
that's a very silver movie with robots.
yeah, I actually wrote about that one fairly in the last year or so for the Cultural Gutter, which I can link in the show
Mm.
notes here if people are interested. That, as I recall, that it's not the best, but again, it's trying some stuff. Um, so, you know,
I wanted to watch it just out of sheer curiosity,
yeah,
because I feel like Harman Bavija was fine. I mean, he was like blink and you miss it. Like there was like this
yeah,
tiny era when he came, did two or three movies and left. But
yeah.
like I liked him for the tiny bit that he was there. And I remember Love Story 2050 having the song where there were like these teddy bears and whatnot, and like they had the silvery costumes. And
She's
so,
got this teddy bear oh, it's so infantilizing. It's really
oh,
maddening. Like, this is a
okay.
grown woman. And she plays a pop star in the 2050 part of the film who has like this talking teddy bear friend thing.
Oh no.
It's
Oh,
not good. It's not
okay.
good.
Well, that was the other movie that because I knew I wanted to do something with robots,
Yeah,
or if not robots, and something 70s and retro inspired. But
yeah.
like, if you hadn't suggested Enderan, then I think I would have perhaps attempted Love Story 2050. I
Mhm.
still will try to watch it at some point just because I'm curious to see what they've done with it. It's just Priyanka Chopra that's like my barrier to entry for this movie. Um, Apart from Shaan, what other movies did you consider?
Well, I did actually start I was going to, sorry, I queued up Satyam Shivam Sundaram because of the song Chantal
Oh my.
Sheetal, where
Yes.
Zinat is a silver apsara, basically.
And she's great in that song.
I was having some technical issues, and I said, you know what? I don't want to watch this movie again. And I do need to rewatch that film at some point because I have only seen it the one time, or like maybe one and a half when I was writing about it a long time ago.
But like, why do you want to rewatch it?
Well, and as a Shashi fan, like it's not, it's one that people know that he's in.
Yes.
And I would like to get my contemporary brain around it another time, I think. I feel like I should. I was looking through my computer for some stuff and I found that Carla of Filmy Geek and I watched this movie together like
Oh my.
as a watch along and we're chatting, I believe on Yahoo Messenger back in the day. We were,
Wow.
watching this together and I found the transcript of that.
Okay.
Um, so I didn't watch it, but I feel like I should. I asked Blue Sky what were things that people associate, what were films associated with silver for them. A
Oh.
couple people did say Robot, and I was like, that one's covered. Someone came right away. Pragya Mahanti, who writes great retro film stuff, suggested both Shaan and Satyam Shivam Sundaram. I'm like, girl, on it.
Right.
Of course, Om Shanti Om from
Yes.
Cars, but that we've covered that. And I Am a Disco Dancer, which we have also covered.
Yes.
Someone did suggest, uh, and you did too, I believe, Nagina, especially for
Yes.
Main Terry Dushman, Tumera. And then someone else suggested Sushmita's song from Faiza, Mehboob Mera, where
Ah,
she wears a pretty amazing silver outfit. And I did watch the song because I haven't seen that film. And I was like, I don't really want to watch this movie, but this song is great.
yeah.
So yeah, as I said in the beginning, Silver was easiest for me to get my brain around as a song entry
Yeah.
point. But then as the movie was unspooling, I kept thinking about other things that Silver can do. And since
Yeah.
I knew you were watching Robot, I felt you took future, I took past,
Yeah.
or like disco adjacent. So we got kind of our dominant now. If and of course, Chamma Chamma from China Gate with Urmila in the
I love that song.
piles of silver jewelry.
So heavy. They probably weigh as much as she does because she tiny.
I rewatched that song 3 times in a row because I'm like, how does she move her body like that?
She's so amazing. She's so lithe. I
It
know.
was, and then Amrish Puri comes in at the end and kind of steals the show. It's such a, I've seen that movie. I don't remember anything about it except for that song, but that song is hypnotizing.
It is amazing. Yeah.
And there were moments where kind of depending on where the camera is looking, when they've come back and you see the whole fleet of dancers, the silver
Mm.
is not as dominant at all. Like she's got red and black and there's some sparkles a little bit,
And there's
but
the golden sand.
yeah, and when you're tighter on her though, and you just see these like piles of jewelry, I was very transfixed by that.
It's
I
very
mean,
chunky.
I love looking at jewelry anyway, but this was extra.
Yeah. That's
That
beautiful.
was a major silver song for sure.
Yeah. A lot of the movies that are kind of like set in Rajasthan
Yeah.
have all of that like oxidized silver jewelry that
Hmm.
Rajasthan is famous for. Like Laken has Dimple Kapadia wearing a lot of that.
Hmm.
And then in Lamhe,
Oh
because
yeah.
Devi is more like rich, she's
Hmm.
not wearing so much silver, but in the song Megha Re Megha, which is the rain song, where she
Hmm.
wears the mirror work maroon and black outfit, she's wearing some nice silver chonky
Hmm.
jewelry in that song as well. So that's pretty. But like, you know how like we associate gold with like aristocracy and like royal movies, I
Hmm.
associate silver with snake movies, apart from
Sure.
disco and
Yeah.
robotics.
Yeah.
Like, because all the snake movies, like Nagin, Nagina, and everything, first of all, they all have those like blue or green lances, and they always have that like the thing on top and the like the
Hmm.
nag money and the
Hmm.
crystals. Everything is very silver coated again because these are nocturnal animals, right? Like snakes are
Hmm.
nocturnal, and snakes are also like a silvery gray or like a black color, so the silver pops against it. So I don't think I've ever seen like a Nagin or a Nagina or like an Ichadhari Nag movie where there's a lot of golden.
I have
It's all
seen I
silver.
have seen some where the some of the jewelry is
Mm,
gold, but that's one
okay.
outfit, and another outfit's probably going
Right.
to have silver.
Yeah.
Yeah, snakes would have been a great option as well,
So good. Yeah. I mean, we've already done like an Ichadhari Nagin episode
right?
though. But there's no such thing as too many Ichadhari Nagins.
No.
Like, no.
What an amazing set of things to come together under this umbrella of
I
silver.
know.
And we haven't
Disco,
even talked about like the romance of
robotics.
night and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
we,
And there's
girl. we're not
every
the
film.
romantics. Yeah, we're not the romantics.
No, I did. I began this series we started with black, and I brought,
Yes.
a vintage Bengali film. And I thought about pulling silver there as well, trying to find something with a moonlight song that I could do. But I really did want to see literal silver on the screen. So I
Yeah.
moved away from black and white, but there's a lot of suggestion of silver in a lot of those, especially in
Yeah.
songs, romantic
Yeah.
songs, right? What could be better?
Yeah. I think for me also, like, more than like the romantic aspect of silver, which is like very Yash Chopra coded, I think I definitely lean more towards like the disco because it's just more
It's more
fun.
fun. Yeah.
It's just you get the silver jumpsuits and the cute, like the sparkly stuff and the go-go boots and the disco
And
balls.
like
It's
the
just more
drum set, and
enjoyable.
yeah, there's glitter
Yeah.
everywhere, and glitter is very often silver. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I don't associate silver at all with like the movies from like the 50s and the 60s. It's just 70s and 80s. That's like
Mm,
the silver era to me.
hmm
Um Interesting.
I had a lot of fun Googling, like iconic silver Bollywood outfits or
Yeah.
whatever. And everything that was coming up, not everything, almost everything that was coming up was red carpet or photo shoots and things like that. I was like, that was really interesting. I expected to see more film costumes than I was
Mm-hmm.
getting. Now, was it the algorithm? I don't know. But clearly, Hindi film stars wear silver,
Mm-hmm.
particularly women, a fair amount. So, like, there are all sorts of pictures of women in beautiful silver saris, for example.
Yeah.
Um,
I think my favorite silver outfit on screen is the silver sequin sari that Smita Patil has worn in the song Pagagungaru Bandhan Mira Nachi from Namaklal.
yeah.
Because first of all, it's such a beautiful sari and it would look good even now. And so
Mm,
it's like this tightly draped silver sari, and it's all sequins, and she's worn it with like a halter neck backless blouse. So when
yeah.
she walks by, and she has her hair is in like a low bun, and
hmm
so when she walks by, you have like a full expanse of her back, and she's like a tall statuesque woman, so it just like she glides in it. And then when she turns and gives you that close-up shot, she looks so stunning. She has these like long silver earrings that she's wearing, and they just kind of like dangle a little bit. And Amitabh is, of course, doing all sorts of tomfoolery
Yeah.
in the song. He's just being silly. And at one point, he like grabs her pallu, and she just turns and gives him this very like withering look, which is like so Smita, because she has no time for your tomfoolery, Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. And I just love that. And it's especially like, I love it because I always associate Smita with like 80s art cinema or like 70s art cinema, which is always dressed in like earthy colors, and she's
Yeah.
very like of the soil. And then you're
hmm
literally seeing her in this like older silver outfit, and it's just very unusual and unique, but she pulls it off beautifully. And also like her hair is like middle parted, and she has like this silver bindi there,
Oh,
and
yeah.
she looks so
Yeah.
hot but also so modern in that. So I really like that. That is probably my favorite iconic
hmm
silver
A great
outfit
one.
in
It's a
Hindi
great
cinema.
one.
It's so good. Yeah. But and also Rishi Kapoor's silver outfit from Cars.
I think that's my most iconic silver
I
outfit, to
mean,
be
it's
honest.
amazing. And
It's
he's
head to
dancing on a
toe.
record player. Like, what the heck? It's
Just
very
standing on the back,
Elvis.
like, what's not to love?
It's very Elvis.
And it's so much in motion, obviously, that you really get the glittering effect is really
And Rishi
strong.
is a good dancer. So he really sells it.
Mhm.
Like, especially when he's like talking to the audience and the audience talks back and he's like, Tumne kisi ko
Hey,
pyar kiya? And they're like, Kya? And it's so
yeah.
good.
I rewatched just I Am a Disco Dancer too,
You have to.
just for funsies, and even though I brought that movie to this podcast, I think about 2 years ago when we did an episode on films about dance, um,
Hmm.
I had forgotten there's that scene in the beginning where there's a yeah, and it's a little girl in the audience, and they've just frozen on her face, going ah, so weird. And there's just a drum bit at the beginning. It's a kid banging on a bald guy's head. Like it's just so goofy. I love everything about it.
Maybe silver is just joyful.
Maybe so. Especially, I mean, the
Maybe
glittery
it's
kind
RuPaul.
for sure.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. I think it was on maybe it was on RuPaul's Drag Race or something that
Mm,
someone said glitter is the herpes of the crafts world.
yes. Yeah, I sometimes have to run craft projects for the museum and people are always like, "Don't get that craft herpes over here."
Yeah, I know. It's like I love silver glitter, but amazing. What are some icons that you associated with the color silver? I mean, obviously Mithun and Rishi and Kurz, but
Mithun
is
and
there anyone
Rishi
else?
were the major ones, yeah, but I am sure that I have seen many, many a film heroine in some kind of Apsara,
Yes.
whether disco or not, but there's usually silver somewhere on those outfits, I
Hmm.
think, or at least something that's reading as silver.
Or like their
Um,
crowns.
uh-huh. Hmm.
Yeah.
So,
There's also Govinda. I mean, I know Govinda is
right.
not someone that we talk about much
And we
on this
need to.
podcast.
We need to.
We should watch his disco movies. I love his disco movies with like Neelam,
Yeah.
and because she's a good dancer too. And like he's worn a lot of like that flashy silver stuff
Yeah.
in his 80s movies, so that's a lot of fun to watch. And then I think others iconic silver people for me are obviously David Bowie, so silver.
Oh,
Elvis
yeah, of
is
course.
the
Of course.
king of the
Yep.
silver outfits.
Yep.
So Elvis, David Bowie, and then I'm a huge fan of Noel Fielding, the British singer and comedian. His like jumpsuits and his silver outfits and his silver nail polish and his silver eyeliner. I love a man who wears makeup. Like I love like all of the makeup looks that
Yeah.
David Bowie and Noel Fielding
Yeah.
did are so amazing. And like I wish that more of the Bollywood dancers would do like obvious makeup, not just like the lip gloss that they put or whatever, like the actual eyeliner and
Yeah.
like the fun
Yeah.
expressiveness that Bowie and Fielding have.
Yeah. It's
I think
true.
that's like such a lost opportunity. I wish Mithun or Govinda or Jitendra or someone would have done that, but I think that was just like a step too far.
Yeah. People were not ready.
No, people were not ready for that, but that's so
Yeah, you wonder
sad.
like behind the scenes if they were, goofing around in the makeup tent. Like, what
I
did
hope.
people do? I, I was thinking earlier today that now that we've reached silver, I believe the only remaining color is gold.
Sona,
So the question is, who's going to do Reka and who's going to do Boppy? Because
right?
it couldn't be easier. Um, Maybe we can get deeper than that. I'm sure we'll find deep things to say about them, but I was like, well, they're two incredibly obvious choices, and we love both of them. So why wouldn't
Yeah.
we do a gold Reka and a gold Boppy Lahiri? So
I have a Bapi Lahiri GIF where he's wearing all of his gold and he basically says Happy Diwali, and I forward that to everyone in my family every single Diwali, like Happy Dhanteras. I'll say Happy Dhanteras and I'll send them the GIF of him going Happy Diwali.
we love him.
I love him. I miss him so much. But yeah, the gold icons of India are definitely Bapi and Rekha for
Yeah,
sure.
I don't need to look any further than that.
No, it's really them.
Other people may try, but it's going to take a while for those aspects to be dislodged, if
You
in fact
can't
they ever are.
dethrone them. No, you
No,
shouldn't even try.
no.
Um, is there a movie that is like Rekha and Bapi Lahiri? That would be amazing.
I know that Reka appears in my filmy disco playlist,
Mm,
so I'd have to dig around and see if it's a movie she's actually in, or is she just doing a special appearance, and is it Boppy? Because, yes, he's the king of disco, but other people did compose for disco films, so
yeah. Well, you know, one of Bapi's favorite lines, which I love to quote because I love Bapi and I will quote him all day long, is he used to say, "Main India mein disco laya." Oh, my other favorite line, which my favorite thing about Bapi is the absolute confidence with which he says the most crazy things,
mhm.
right? Like he believes it, okay? He doesn't care if you believe it or not, but it is his truth. And my favorite Bapi line is also, apart from India mein main disco laya, is also Michael Jackson ko dance maine sikhaya. Like, okay, I don't think that's true, but not gonna argue with you, Bapi. There's an interview of his where he literally said, "May Michael Jackson ko disco sikhaya." I'm like, no, but
No.
okay.
Okay. So stop aligning yourself with Michael Jackson.
Right. Okay, yes, but the moonwalk, that is very silver.
Very
His outfits
silver.
also from that era are also very, very silver.
Mhm.
So, okay. All right. Well, that concludes this episode of the Color Series. We have just one more to go. Please tell us what your favorite silver movies are. Is the epitome of silver to you Chandani and Damini and things like that? Or are you more like
Oh
disco
yeah,
and like robotics
lightning. We
oriented?
didn't talk
Yes.
about lightning.
No, because we're us, Beth. No one would expect us to talk about lightning.
Also, when I think of lightning, I think of Ramsey Brothers movies,
Yes.
and I feel like we have talked about those a fair number of times, and I don't want to overdo it. But also, I think the lightning is just mood, and it's not really a visual thing. It's more of just it's an omen, and
Yeah. It's more for it was a dark and stormy night, and bad things are
right.
going to happen. And ladies in white lingerie are going to go for runs in the middle of the night because that's just what they do in
Or
Ramsay
take
Brothers
a
movies.
shower.
Yeah, or they take showers, like, and then they're shocked Pikachu face when the ghost gets them. But yeah, you should never take life advice from the women in Ramsay Brothers movies.
I think we can expand that. I don't think you should take life advice from anyone in a Ramsey Brothers film, probably. Hopefully, we're wrong,
Actually,
but
you should take life advice from the guardian of the Haveli in Ramsay Brothers movie because you know what?
oh,
Despite all the shenanigans, he survives. He's alive.
well, sometimes I think they're in on it, right? But not
This is
always.
true.
So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
sometimes the tantric is right.
Tantrics are silver too, by the way. Nagins are silver and so are tantrics.
Oh,
It's always all the silver. Kuka wears a lot of silver. We know this.
Uka.
My favorite.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
This is lovely. This is a great prevailing conversation on the joys of silver. So tell us what you think. What are your favorite movies? Are there any Govinda disco silver movies you want us to watch and talk about? Because we're here for that.
Hmm.
And then we will see you next week with another episode of Filmy Ladies. Thank you for watching. Bye.